Sakram. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about today? I wanted to be talking about thriving. So, the word thriving came into my experience when I was doing my master's in positive psychology. And to put it in simple terms, thriving is is a way of life where you leading like a very um, successful, your quality of life is high. You know, your quality of life is, you are living a full life. That is what I understand as thriving. So when I came across this concept, I used to feel that thriving is, translates as things going as planned, as scheduled, things working out for you, always working out for you. um, Life is just smooth and breezy and sunshine and rainbows. And um, cut to now, quite many years later, one rebirth and a couple of tiny shifts, transformations later, um, I now understand thriving as a dialectic, a dialectic being a series of question and answer. It's a dialogue. It's the ups and downs. It's the smoothness and the openness with which I live the motions and the flows of my life and the way that my life unfolds. And it has so much more. Thriving actually has so much more to do with being open to shit flying out the window, um, trusting yourself and making those leaps of faith that you feel make your life, make you feel true to who you are, and identifying the conditioning which makes you feel disconnected from who you are, and then reconditioning yourself. Does that sound too complicated? Anyway, you will get it if you get it, and if you don't get it, just skip the video. But if you're somebody who resonates with me, and the way that I express myself, then you're definitely going to feel it, whether or not you understand the words. That I'm sure of. Anyway, talking about thriving again, um, it's about enjoying duality. This is how I would say, this is what I would define thriving as. It is about being open to the diversity, the degrees of, hues and vibrancy in our everyday life and our emotions, um, and the in the perspectives of life, and just going with it, knowing that. And what has really personally helped me on this journey is, realizing that there is nothing too serious going on, even though I'm very well aware, as I'm saying this statement, that there are a lot of experiences in life, especially painful ones, which when we are going through them, they feel like everything. They feel like the only thing that exists. But as we move through them multiple times, as we keep healing ourselves, as we keep realizing that pain is a part of life, not necessarily suffering, but pain, um, physical pain, emotional pain, loss, grief, being open to all sorts of emotions that are present within myself, accepting them, being as accepting, as patient. Um, Patience is something which was like a sore spot for me, especially a couple of years back. I wanted things fast. I wanted things fast, as in like I just wanted to get to it. I was very functional in my approach, and I was like, okay, XYZ needs to be done to get to point A, then let's just somehow get through XYZ and just get to point A. Like, it doesn't matter how I get through it. But I realized that the XYZ is the whole point of it, and not getting to the end result. And uh, I just remembered Dr. Alan Watts. I love him. I love his words. I listen to him. I have listened to him a lot. He had given this example that, you go to listen when you're listening to like an orchestra performance. You don't go to just watch, to listen to the final, the finale. You want to watch the entire experience. You want to have the entire experience of the ups and downs and everything that you're feeling with the music, through the music. And that is what thriving is. We want the whole show. We don't want just one thing. We want the whole show. It's because just winning an award feels quite empty. It's just if you are okay. So while I was growing up, I was, let's say, education or academics was not really my priority. I was occupied with a lot of emotional stuff that was happening inside of me. And so those things were my priority. Academics was just something which I had to do, so I did it. And I was like, I used to think that I'm dumb, which is rubbish. But I had an inferiority complex about, based on my academic qualifications and the marks. I judged myself a lot. Um, and but as I kept wanting to learn, there was a point of time, so till 12th I was least interested in education. After class 12, during my graduation, certain things that happened in my life, and certain decisions needed to be made. And in my college first year, that was the first time I ever wanted to study. And I was like, really, I wanted to learn because I was finally doing subjects that made sense to me personally. And I wanted to do well in academics. And I did. I topped my class and I was so surprised, but I did because I was really enjoying myself. And then again, something happened and I had to leave that particular college and that university, and I chose to like move with my family elsewhere. And so long story short, during my masters, uh, during the rest of my graduation, I started doing a job because wherever I was enrolled, they didn't really have classes. And I was like, really, I finally didn't want to study, and like, anyway. So masters, I put in a lot of carrying all of that pressure that uh, my single mother had fought with the rest of the family to put me into a certain college in a master's program, and it was expensive and all of that. Putting all of that in mind, I was very, very focused that, okay, fine, I'm here, I'm in this university, I'm going to pour in everything I have, and I'm going to excel as much as I can. So that's exactly what I did. I'd become a workaholic, and I had devoted all of my time as much as possible to either academics or co-curriculars, or learning and experiencing, doing internships here and there, running around, making my experience as full as possible. You know how workaholism works. My personal worth was defined by the work that I put in my day, and I did end up doing fairly well actually in my specialization. I was a nine pointer, and I ended up topping in my specialization, which ironically made me feel quite empty at the end. And I also surprisingly had, even in my PhD, I ended up getting um, uh, uh, an international research paper publication. Again, empty. I felt like, what? I'm supposed to feel better. People around me are happy. I'm supposed to feel happy. What is this that I'm feeling? Because I'd run myself completely dry and I was in a burnout stage. And obviously, many other things were happening on the family front as well, details of which I will not divulge. But long story short, the way that I was living my life was really not working. And obviously, I broke down emotionally, mentally, physically. And a lot of, um, I can never look back and call it a shitty time, because I'm so grateful to that time, because a lot of things that I carried, a lot of definitions that I was carrying within me, um, the way of life was so heavy, and it was so unnecessary. And if I wouldn't have that breakdown, I wouldn't question all of those beliefs that I had, that way of life, those definitions. I would have never. So, yes, it was a difficult time, it was a challenging time, um, and a lot of character building happened, a lot of resilience happened. Um, But as I healed from that phase, I was so in love with myself. I was so in love with what remained, what evolved, what became of me um, through that process. And so when I look back, and I actually started to really value crisis situations, and I had become very, very open to them. I'm not saying that I don't feel pain, that it'll be absolute rubbish. I feel pain. Yeah. I cry a lot. I I acknowledge my darker emotions. I acknowledge my insecurities. I acknowledge my fears. In fact, going through all of that, all of the crises made me quite open to my own darkness. I had to meet my own darkness, because I was manifesting it over and over again outside of me. My life was screaming at me to look at myself, because I needed a lot of love and nurturance, something that I was freely, um, recklessly, I would say, not even freely, recklessly giving off my power to everybody around, whether or not they expected it, whether or not they were acknowledging it. I was just giving it because I thought that that is what made me me. But that's rubbish. So, coming back to thriving. So, thriving was so much more about balance and acknowledgement, and seeing parts of me that deserved tending, that needed nurturance, that needed love and care and patience, just like. So there is this term known as shadow work in the spiritual community. um, and I'm pretty sure if the algorithm has shown you my content, then you people are definitely spiritual. I don't attract other people, virtually or otherwise. I always attract spiritual people, irrespective of whether you believe in the idea of God or not. But you have to be spiritual if you've come across this video or my content, because I'm deeply spiritual and that's what I attract. Um, shadow work is something where I freed up a lot of aspects and parts of me that wanted to be seen, wanted to be held, wanted to be loved. So I have literally tended to, I've sat with myself through many phases, through many cycles, and doing that work over and over again. I'm not saying that I am done with it. I don't think I'll ever be done with it. Not as long as I'm in this body, or I don't get enlightenment. I will keep doing it, but I have become fairly comfortable with the process, simply due to practice. That's not rocket science, simply due to exposure. But I also see the value in it. It's when I started, I didn't see the value in it. I was just doing it because it was in my face. actually. Parts of me were in my face, which was screaming for love, screaming for nurturance. And so I started like that. And over, as I, kept on that journey, I realized that I can feel the value of pain, the value of fear, the value in going through the lows in life. So, and as it kept happening, I became more and more comfortable with, you know, those days where I was lying on the ground looking at my ceiling fan and just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do next? Everything I thought is not everything that I thought it was. And I don't know what the fuck to do. So I've become more and more open to and accepting of chaos, accepting of uncertainties. Uncertainty was my nemesis. I didn't have any person who was my nemesis. Uncertainty, unpredictability, variability was my nemesis. If I had to say, at one point of time, I absolutely had anxiety attacks. um, I feared it deeply. And of course, abandonment issues, 101, that it ties into it. But as I healed my abandonment issues to quite a degree, and I started this love affair with uncertainty, now I feel that creativity, as I'm living as an artist, as I am choosing to dedicate my life to it, to be an artist, I'm realizing how valuable and important it has been for me to make that journey to be here, because creativity is born out of chaos. And so if I don't acknowledge the chaos, I cannot enjoy being a creative. And so, yeah, I would very openly say that I'm frequently confused. I'm welcoming of that emotion within myself, which I'm very proud of. It's taken me a lot of work to get here. Um, and it's still work. And it will be work, maybe. I don't know for how long, but it's work that is worth it. Um, because the layers that I can see within myself and the vibrance that I can see outside of me, it's like after sunset, the sky gets so beautiful with the different hues of, oranges and reds and pinks and blues and violets and all. It's like that. You can just see the vibrance. I can feel life more fully. It I used to feel at one point of time that thriving is like, oh, I'm having like a really good day, everything is sunshine and rainbows. Rubbish. Thriving is, I see, I feel everything. So my focus also needs to be sharp. And a lot of times I lose focus and I fall into um, bits of darkness, if I can put it like that. Um, and I get caught up into things and ways of thinking that don't serve me at all, that are not aligning, that make me feel disconnected and lost and powerless. But I also am, like, at the same time, part of me knows that, okay, I'm feeling like this because right now I'm disconnected. The moment I align myself, I know I will have the propensity to look at this same experience in a very, very different light, because everything's relative. That's all I'll say. Everything is relative. So the acknowledgement of the shitty times makes me acknowledge the rainbow sunshine. I struck a pot of gold times much more. It adds more value, it adds more richness it adds more depth into my experience and into my life. I don't know how long I've been yapping. Oh, almost 20 minutes. I think I've said enough right now. Since I did not plan this and everything came out in a flow, I'm going to keep it like this. I think my dog agrees outside, if you can hear. So yeah, I think I'm going to close it for now. Hope you have a beautiful, wholesome life.